In the quiet space before dawn, when the world has not yet remembered its noise, there is a tender doorway where the mind softens and the heart opens. For the first part of this long journey together, daily Dharma listening invites you to step through that doorway with a slow breath, settling into a landscape shaped by ancient Buddhist teachings and the simple, human desire to understand life more deeply. This opening chapter is meant to be the gentle hand on your shoulder, guiding you toward a place inside yourself that has always been waiting. Let this be our shared beginning, where the stories of old and the struggles of modern life finally meet. Before we walk further, if you feel resonance with these reflections, you may subscribe, like, or share to help these Buddhist lessons continue reaching those who search for meaning in the dark, those who long to find peace in chaos, and those quietly learning how to stay calm and positive in a world that often forgets to pause. Now let the story begin. Long before the structures of modern cities rose, long before screens flickered with information, a young wanderer once approached a weathered teacher who lived near the edge of a quiet forest. The wanderer carried a deep weariness, the kind that grows when a person feels lost but cannot explain why. His life seemed outwardly intact, yet inwardly hollowed. He felt pulled in 100 directions by expectations, fears, and invisible beliefs he did not know he carried. He had come not for miracles, but for understanding. The teacher studied him with eyes as calm as still water. In Buddhism for beginners, it is often said that before transformation begins, one must first be seen, not by society, not by their achievements, but by the soft awareness within. The teacher motioned for the wanderer to sit beside him, and the forest seemed to lean closer. "You look tired," the teacher finally said. "Not from walking, but from fighting battles that no longer deserve your strength." The wanderer lowered his gaze, unsure how this stranger could read what he himself had long ignored. He explained that he lived with constant anxiety, always worrying about what might go wrong, constantly protecting himself from imagined disasters. His mind ran like a restless river, and even in moments of calm, he felt pursued by shadows. The teacher listened with the patience of old stone. When the wanderer finished, the teacher picked up a cup from the ground and filled it with water from a nearby stream. The water was clear at first, but the teacher stirred the bottom, bringing the sediment upward until the cup swirled with murkiness. "This," he said, "is your mind when you cling to fear. When you grasp tightly at each passing thought, you disturb what could have remained clear. Anxiety is not a permanent storm, it is the sediment you keep stirring." The wanderer nodded, but he did not yet understand. The teacher then set the cup down. They both watched as slowly, almost imperceptibly, the swirling dirt began to settle. The water cleared again, not because of effort but because of stillness. "You wish to transform your mind," the teacher continued, "but you seek change by adding more thoughts, more worrying, more trying to control. Buddhist wisdom reminds us, clarity comes when you allow stillness, not when you fight. When the heart stops stirring its own muddy depths, you begin to live without fear." The wanderer felt a tiny shift inside himself, as if he had been given permission to stop struggling. Yet he asked, "How do I stop stirring the sediment? How do I protect my energy when the world around me is always storming?" The teacher smiled, a warm and unhurried smile. "You learn to sit with what you feel. Not to suppress it, not to run from it, but to see it honestly." Buddhist reminders when you feel lost are not instructions to escape life, but invitations to enter it more slowly, more truthfully. When your anxiety rises like wind, acknowledge it, a thought, a sensation, a story your mind is telling. Nothing more. No moment of fear has the power to define you unless you claim it as your identity. He then pointed to the forest path. "Everywhere you walk, you carry a quiet choice. You can walk as someone chased by their own mind, or you can walk as someone who watches the mind gently, like observing weather patterns without becoming the storm. The wanderer's breath deepened. For the first time in many years, he noticed the air filling his chest, the subtleness of his heartbeat, the ground beneath his weight. The simple awareness grounded him, something he had rarely allowed. Life will keep testing you, the teacher said softly. That is the nature of existence. But tests are not punishments, they are mirrors. When someone criticizes you, the mirror shows your attachment to approval. When a plan collapses, the mirror shows your attachment to control. When fear rises, the mirror shows your attachment to certainty. Each reflection is a chance to see yourself clearly, not to judge, but to understand. And understanding, my young friend, is the beginning of freedom. The wanderer looked up with damp eyes. He had spent years trying to force himself into strength, believing that fearlessness meant never feeling vulnerable. Now he realized that real strength was something quieter. It was the capacity to stay present even when the heart trembles. It was the courage to soften instead of harden. Buddhist lessons for anxiety often return to this same truth. Meditation is not about escape, but about meeting yourself without resistance. In this meeting, fear dissolves into something gentler, something human. The wanderer imagined his thoughts like leaves floating on the water's surface, visible, present, but not threatening. He understood he did not need to remove every leaf, he only needed to stop gripping them. Tell me, he asked softly, how do I begin each day with such clarity? Begin by noticing one breath, the teacher said. Then notice the next. When the world rushes you, slow your steps. When your mind tells you you're not enough, reply with kindness. When chaos surrounds you, remind yourself that peace is not found in perfection, but in attention. This is how to find peace in chaos, not by controlling the storm, but by anchoring yourself in the present moment. The horizon had begun to warm with morning light. The wanderer felt a sense of renewal, as if life had not abandoned him but was simply waiting for him to stop running. He bowed to the teacher, not out of formality, but out of gratitude. The ancient wisdom he received did not erase his struggles, but it illuminated a pathway through them. As he walked away, the forest felt different, not because the world had changed but because he had. The wind seemed less sharp. The future seemed less threatening. And for the first time, he carried hope not as a fragile wish, but as a quiet knowing. The teacher watched him go, whispering to the breeze a blessing for all those who wander through life searching for rest. May they remember that peace is not far away. It is within every breath, waiting to be rediscovered. Part 2. The river that remembers your name. There is a silence that lives beneath every thought, a quiet thread weaving through each moment of our lives, waiting for us to notice it. In this second part of our long journey, we follow that thread, soft, patient, ancient, into a deeper understanding of the self. Here, the story continues not with dramatic revelations, but with the steady unfolding of insight, the kind that moves like water carving stone. It shapes us even when we don't realize it. Far from the forest where the wanderer met the teacher, there was a small village built alongside a gentle river. The people believed that the river remembered every traveler who drank from it. They said that when someone lost their way, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, the river would whisper their true name back to them. Not the name given at birth, but the name of their nature, the essence they had forgotten. One evening, a woman arrived at the river's edge. She carried the heaviness of someone who had spent too long pretending to be stronger than she felt. Her life had become a maze of responsibilities, pressures, and quiet disappointments. To the outside world she appeared successful, composed, perhaps even admired. But inside, she was drifting, unsure of who she was without the expectations she fulfilled for others. She felt she had lost the path back to herself. She knelt by the water, listening to the soft murmur of the current. She had heard of Buddhist teachings but never studied them deeply. Even so, something within her recognized the river's stillness. It echoed the longing in her own heart, a longing to recover a sense of wholeness. As she reached into the water, the teacher from the forest appeared behind her, arriving as silently as dusk. He had been traveling, offering guidance to those searching for clarity. The woman sensed his presence and turned, startled not by his sudden arrival but by the calmness he carried, as if he moved within an invisible field of peace. "You have come seeking something," he said. "Not approval, not success, not praise. Something quieter." She nodded. "I have forgotten who I am. I don't know what to do anymore. I feel pulled in every direction. I wake up tired. I go to sleep tired. I am surrounded by people but I feel alone. I want to find peace in chaos, but even the simplest moment feels overwhelming." The teacher sat beside her. The river continued its steady flow, mirroring the rhythm of his breath. "In Buddhism for beginners," he said gently, "we are reminded that suffering begins not in the world but in the stories we cling to about ourselves. You are not your schedule. You are not your failures. You are not the version of you others expect. You are the awareness watching all of this unfold, yet untouched by it." She listened, but her heart trembled. "I don't know how to stop clinging," she whispered. "My mind keeps telling me who I must be." The teacher pointed to the river. "Notice how it flows, yet never demands the rocks to move. Notice how it adapts around every obstacle without losing itself. The river transforms not through force, but through acceptance. In the same way, you can transform your mind by allowing yourself to simply be, without the constant need to meet an invisible standard." He reached into the water, lifting his hands slowly so droplets fell back into the current. "This is your true nature, fluid, responsive, capable of shaping your path gently. But when you fight yourself, when you resist the flow of your life, you create turbulence. And turbulence exhausts you." The woman felt a single tear slide down her cheek. She had spent years resisting the truth of her own limits, believing she must always push harder, always remain strong, always carry burdens alone. She believed vulnerability was weakness. Yet here, beside a river that remembered her name, she felt the ground beneath her soften. "Tell me," she said through quiet breaths, "how do I return to myself? How do I live without fear that everything will fall apart?" The teacher smiled tenderly. "Fear is not the enemy. Fear is the messenger. It shows you where the mind is clinging. And Buddhist wisdom teaches us that once we see the message clearly, we no longer obey it blindly. When fear rises, do not run. Do not fight. Sit with it. Ask it what it is protecting. Often, fear guards a wound that has never been given compassion." The woman looked down at the reflection trembling on the river's surface. She realized that she had never allowed herself to rest. She had never allowed herself to feel safe enough to be imperfect. She had always moved like someone trying to outrun her own shadow. The teacher continued, "You feel lost not because you lack direction, but because you have been abandoning yourself. Buddhist reminders when you feel lost are simple: return to your breath, return to your body, return to the present moment. The world will try to pull you into 1,000 anxieties. Your peace comes from resisting none of them and following none of them, peace is found by listening deeply to what remains still within you. The river shimmered in the fading light. The woman closed her eyes, breathing slowly, allowing the quiet to wash through her. She felt her mind gently loosening its grip on the thoughts that had tormented her for years. For the first time in a long while, she was not thinking of tomorrow. Not thinking of expectations. Not thinking of who she should be. She was simply here. When she opened her eyes, the teacher was watching her with patient kindness. "The river has already begun to whisper your name," he said. "Not in words, but in the way your breath has changed. Do you feel it?" She placed a hand on her chest, surprised by the warmth spreading there. "I feel something. Like a small light, something soft, something almost forgotten." "It is not forgotten," the teacher replied. "It is simply quiet, waiting for you to make space." She touched the water again, and for a moment she imagined the river carrying away her old stories, the ones that had drained her spirit. She imagined herself stepping into a new way of being, not perfect, not fearless, but awakened to her inner truth. The teacher rose and looked toward the horizon. "Protect your energy," he said softly. "Not by building walls, but by choosing gentleness. When the world becomes loud, return to the river within you. When your mind spins in circles, remind yourself that the path to peace is not a race, but a returning. And when you feel lost again, for you will, remember this simple truth: the river has never forgotten your name." The woman remained by the water long after the teacher had gone. The night came slowly, draping the landscape in quiet blue. She listened to the current flowing past her feet, and for the first time she felt connected, not to her roles or responsibilities, but to the living presence inside her, the one she had unknowingly neglected. She inhaled deeply, letting the air fill her with clarity. She exhaled slowly, letting go of a weight she had carried for too many years. And as she sat with the river, she realized that peace was not something she needed to find. It was something she needed to remember. The river flowed on, steady and timeless, carrying her reflection into the deepening night. Part 3. The quiet lantern carried within. Night settled softly over the landscape, spreading its deep indigo across the sky as though the world were being tucked into a quieter form of existence. In this third chapter of our long unfolding, we follow the next thread of ancient wisdom, one that glows like a small lantern carried gently in the hands of those who travel through the dark. For the lessons of this part do not concern external triumphs or worldly clarity, but instead the subtle illumination arising from within, the kind of inner light that does not announce itself but quietly alters the way we walk through life. The teacher, having left the woman by the river, continued his journey toward a mountain village. His footsteps were slow, unhurried, as though he walked with time rather than against it. The moon accompanied him overhead, serene and unwavering. He knew that along this path lived a young man who had become tangled in his own restlessness, someone whose mind never slept, even when the world outside was calm. The young man's thoughts darted like fireflies, bright but directionless, beautiful but exhausting. The teacher eventually reached a small hut nestled beneath an ancient cedar tree. The young man sat outside with his head in his hands, staring at the ground as though searching for an answer buried beneath the soil. His breath was uneven, his shoulders tight, and his hands fidgeted without pause. Without looking up, he said to the teacher, "I can't quiet my mind. Every time I try to meditate, it grows louder. Every time I try to stay calm, worry appears. Every time I try to live without fear, something new arises to challenge me." The teacher lowered himself onto the earth beside him. The mountains around them felt like silent witnesses, shaped by countless centuries of wind and rain. When the mind is restless, the teacher said softly, it is not a sign of failure. It is a sign that something within you is asking to be heard. You do not need to silence your thoughts. You only need to listen differently. The young man shook his head. I've tried listening. All I hear is chaos, anxiety, confusion. I feel like I'm drowning in my own thoughts. How can Buddhist wisdom help me if my mind won't let me be still? The teacher picked up a small pebble and placed it in the young man's hand. Feel this, he said. Notice its texture, its weight, the temperature of its surface. The young man obeyed reluctantly, running his fingers along the smooth stone. What do you feel? The young man sighed. A pebble. Cool, solid, ordinary. The teacher nodded. And that is how your thoughts should be handled, not as emergencies, but as simple objects passing through your awareness. Buddhism for beginners teaches that thoughts are like pebbles. They can be observed, held, noticed, and released. But when you mistake a pebble for a mountain, you suffer. The young man pressed the pebble between his palms. Then why does it feel like every thought carries danger? Why do small worries feel like storms? Because you respond to each thought with fear, the teacher replied gently. Instead of letting thoughts arise and dissolve, you chase them, question them, resist them. You treat them as warnings rather than echoes of old habits. Your mind has learned to protect you by imagining threats. But now it protects you too much. This is why you feel overwhelmed. The young man looked up at the sky, where faint stars were beginning to appear. How do I change this? How do I transform my mind when every part of me feels trapped? The teacher smiled with that familiar softness that made even discomfort feel like an invitation to grow. First, you must understand something important. Your mind is not your enemy. Anxiety is not a sign of weakness. Restlessness does not make you broken. Buddhist teachings remind us that the mind is a storyteller. It creates narratives to make sense of the world. When the storyteller becomes frightened, its stories become frightening. But you are not the storyteller. You are the listener. The young man sat quietly, holding the pebble as if it were a stabilizing anchor. The teacher continued, when you feel anxious, you can protect your energy by pausing, noticing the story your mind is telling, and choosing not to believe it completely. This is not avoidance. It is wisdom. It is the ability to see the difference between a possibility and reality, between imagination and truth. A breeze drifted across the mountain, rustling the cedar branches overhead. The young man closed his eyes and let the wind brush his skin. Still, he felt the familiar heaviness rising inside him, the whisper of not being enough, the fear of disappointing others, the worry that he might never find peace. The teacher noticed his tension. There is a lantern inside you, he said. A quiet lantern that has never gone out. It flickers sometimes, but it never disappears. When you forget your inner light, fear appears larger than it is. But when you remember it, fear softens and becomes manageable. The young man opened his eyes. What is this lantern? He asked. It is your awareness, the teacher replied. The part of you that can observe without judgment. The part that remains calm even when your thoughts are noisy. Buddhist reminders when you feel lost often point back to this lantern. When you feel overwhelmed, return your attention to the observer within. Notice the fear, but do not become the fear. Notice the thought, but do not mistake it for truth. Notice the feeling, but do not drown in it. The young man leaned back slightly, absorbing the words. But what if my thoughts keep coming? What if they never stopped? The teacher smiled again. Thoughts will come for as long as you live. Enlightenment is not the absence of thoughts but the absence of entanglement. You do not need to stop the river. You only need to stop jumping into it. A long silence followed. The young man watched the moonlight stretching across the mountains. He could feel something shifting inside, a loosening, a tiny doorway opening in the walls he had unconsciously built. He realized that he had been fighting his own nature, believing peace meant rigidity, discipline, and perfection. Yet here was a teacher telling him that peace was softness, patience, and acceptance. Take this exercise with you, the teacher said. When your mind grows loud, breathe deeply and imagine placing each thought on a leaf floating down a stream. Watch it drift. Do not grab it. Do not chase it. Do not judge it. Let the river carry it away. This is how to stay calm and positive without forcing positivity. You are not trying to escape discomfort. You are learning not to imprison yourself in it. The young man nodded slowly. He felt his chest expand with a breath that moved more freely than those before. Something inside him finally unclenched. The teacher placed his hand briefly on the young man's shoulder. Do not rush this process. Ancient teachings are not meant to deliver instant results. They are seeds planted in the soil of your life. Tend to them gently. Trust that growth will come. The night deepened, wrapping them in a quiet, sacred darkness. The teacher eventually rose, preparing to continue his journey at dawn. The young man watched him, a question trembling in his voice. Will I find peace? The teacher paused, turning back with a calm that felt like a blessing. You will remember peace. It has always been within you. Peace is not found. Peace is uncovered, like a lantern revealed beneath a cloth. Your task is not to become peaceful, but to stop forgetting your own light. The teacher walked toward the horizon, his figure blending with the dim blue shadows. The young man remained beneath the cedar tree, holding the pebble gently. He breathed in the cold mountain air, letting its clarity move through him. And for the first time in his life, he realized that his thoughts were not chains, they were only passing weather, and he was the sky that held them all. As the moon continued its slow journey across the heavens, the young man felt the lantern within him flicker, soft, steady, unmistakably alive. Part 4. The mountain that listens without judgment. Before the first breath of morning touched the world, the mountains stood in their ancient stillness, holding secrets older than memory. Their peaks rose like silent guardians of time, keeping watch over the valleys where countless lives unfolded, sometimes with joy, sometimes with sorrow, always with a subtle yearning to understand the unseen forces that shape the human heart. It is here, in the quiet cradle of stone and sky, that the fourth chapter of our long journey continues. This is a place where echoes soften, where heavy burdens are released into the vastness, and where wisdom hides in the spaces between silence and sound. After leaving the young man beneath the cedar tree, the teacher walked deeper into the mountains, following paths known only to those who listened more than they spoke. His mind was not weighed by urgency, nor distracted by expectation. He moved with the natural grace of someone who fully understood that every step is both destination and journey. The mountain air was cold yet invigorating, carrying the scent of pine and the faint whisper of snow melting in distant ravines. As the teacher ascended a rugged trail, he noticed a figure sitting alone on a cliff's edge. The figure was a young woman, no older than 20, hugging her knees to her chest. Her hair fell like a curtain around her face. From afar, she looked like a fragile silhouette carved into the morning light. But as the teacher approached, he felt something heavier, a sorrow that clung to her like a second skin. Without turning, the young woman spoke. Her voice was hoarse, trembling between despair and exhaustion. "You don't have to come closer," she said. "I know what you're going to tell me. Everyone tells me the same thing. That I should be strong. That I should move on. That life is what it is. That suffering builds character. I don't want more character. I want to stop hurting." The teacher sat a respectful distance away, allowing silence to settle between them like a gentle blanket. The mountains around them listened, patient and unjudging. After a long pause, he replied softly, "I am not here to tell you to be strong, nor to move on, nor to pretend your pain is some noble test. I am here to listen." Those 4 words, simple, unadorned, sincere, slowly reached through the wall she had built around her heart. She swallowed, blinking away tears she had grown tired of shedding. Finally, she asked, "Who are you?" "Someone who has carried his own shadows," he said. "Someone who has seen agony turn into wisdom when given enough compassion. Someone who believes that you deserve to breathe without pretending." The young woman closed her eyes. Her breath hitched as she inhaled deeply, as if trying to steady herself against the storm inside her. "My mind never stops hurting," she whispered. "It keeps replaying everything I've lost. Every mistake I made. Every person I disappointed. I can't escape it. I don't know how to stay calm. I don't know how to stay alive without feeling like I'm drowning." The teacher let her words settle into the space around them. "Buddhist teachings," he began gently, "do not ask you to escape your suffering. They ask you to meet it with awareness. Pain becomes sharper when we resist it. Fear grows darker when we hide from it. The mind becomes louder when we try to silence it. What if you allowed your suffering to speak, not to hurt you, but to show you where you are broken, where you need care, where you need to return to yourself?" She shook her head weakly. "If I let it speak, it will consume me." The teacher looked toward the horizon, where sunlight was beginning to creep over the ridges, painting them gold. "The mountain will not fall apart simply because the wind touches it," he said. "You are stronger than you believe, not because you feel strong, but because you are still here even when your mind has convinced you otherwise." Buddhist lessons for anxiety remind us that the mind is sometimes a storm. But storms do not last. They move, they shift, they fade. You are the ground beneath the storm. A tear slid down her cheek. "I don't feel like ground. I feel like wind, scattered, broken, directionless." The teacher turned his gaze to her with compassionate clarity. "That is because you have spent too long believing that your worth depends on being unbroken. But the truth is gentler. Broken things can still hold light. Cracks allow the lantern within you to shine outward. When you stop demanding perfection from yourself, you will begin to transform your mind." The young woman hugged her knees tighter. "What if there's nothing left inside me to transform? What if I am beyond saving?" The teacher picked up a small, weather-worn branch lying near his feet. It was cracked, bent, half dead. With a soft breath, he brushed soil from its roots and gently planted it into the earth. The young woman watched, confused. "This branch is wounded," he said, "but not worthless. Given soil, sunlight, and time, it may take root again. Perhaps it will grow. Perhaps it will not. But it is not beyond saving simply because it has suffered. Neither are you." She stared at the branch for a long time. Something inside her, a tiny, trembling seed of hope, shifted, though she was afraid to acknowledge it. The teacher continued, "Your mind is overwhelmed because it has been carrying too much alone." When Buddhist reminders say to protect your energy, they do not mean avoid the world or hide from life. They mean, stop giving your inner strength away to every fear, every memory, every imagined scenario. Come back to now. Come back to your breath. Come back to this moment where the mountain listens without judgment. She looked at him, tears glistening in her eyes. How do I do that? How do I find peace in chaos when the chaos is inside me? Slowly, as though speaking directly to her wounded heart, he replied, "Start with one breath. Just one. Feel the air enter your body like a small kindness. Let it fill the places where sorrow sits. Then let it leave. Do nothing more. When the next wave of pain comes, breathe again. You do not need to calm the whole storm. You only need to anchor yourself in a single moment." The mountains around them felt impossibly vast, as if absorbing her sorrow into their ancient silence. For the first time in months, the young woman took a deep breath without feeling crushed. She exhaled, letting the weight in her chest shift ever so slightly. The teacher's voice grew softer. "You feel lost, but the path has not abandoned you. The part of you that suffers is the same part that loves. The same part that hopes. The same part capable of healing." Buddhist wisdom says, where there is suffering, there is the potential for awakening. Not because pain is noble, but because pain forces us to see what truly matters. The young woman lifted her head. The sunlight touched her face, fragile but real. "I don't know if I can heal," she whispered. The teacher nodded. Healing is not a destination. It is a direction. You do not walk it once. You walk it many times, turning back when needed, resting when exhausted, continuing when ready. A mountain does not rise in a day, but it rises. They sat together in silence, the kind that softens grief rather than magnifies it. The young woman's breathing steadied. Her shoulders lowered. Her gaze softened. She felt, for the first time in a long time, the faint warmth of her inner lantern flickering. It was small, but unmistakable. The mountains around her held the moment gently, as though approving her first quiet step toward herself. And as the wind curled around the cliff's edge, carrying away the remnants of her despair, the young woman realized something fragile yet profound. She did not have to be unbroken to begin again. The mountain had listened to her pain without judgment. Now, she could learn to do the same. Part 5. The path that appears only when you walk it. At the edge of the mountain ridge, where the earliest sunlight began to press gently against the lingering shadows, the teacher stood with quiet steadiness. The world beneath him was rising slowly from sleep, its breath expanding through valleys and forests like a great living being awakening from a long dream. The mountain peaks shimmered as the sun crept across them, illuminating the contours of stone that had witnessed countless generations seeking meaning in their moments of joy, sorrow, clarity, and confusion. Today, the teacher knew he would meet someone whose heart had grown weary not from pain, nor from fear, but from uncertainty, a deep, persistent doubt in his own direction in life. As he continued descending from the place where he had comforted the young woman, he followed a winding path carved by centuries of footsteps. Eventually, he reached a wide, open plain where a lone traveler paced back and forth, his brow furrowed, his steps restless. The man seemed trapped inside an invisible circle, walking the same short stretch repeatedly, as if imprisoned by indecision itself. Every few seconds he would start, look toward the distant horizon, then shake his head and return to pacing. The teacher approached quietly. The traveler did not notice him at first. When he finally did, he paused with a startled breath. "You look troubled," the teacher said softly. The traveler exhaled sharply, running a hand through his hair. "Trouble doesn't begin to describe it. I'm lost. Completely lost. I don't know which direction to take. Every choice feels wrong. Every step feels dangerous. I want to move forward, but I'm terrified of choosing the wrong path." The teacher nodded, sensing the weight behind the man's words. Fear of mistakes, fear of failure, fear of the unknown, these were companions that followed many who had forgotten how to trust themselves. Buddhism for beginners often begins by addressing this root of inner conflict, the habit of believing that life is a test with only one correct answer. The teacher asked gently, "When did you last trust your own judgment?" The traveler laughed bitterly. "I'm not sure I ever have. My life has always been shaped by what others expected of me, my parents, my friends, society, even strangers. Whenever I try to choose something for myself, I doubt it immediately. And every time something goes wrong, I blame myself. I tell myself I should have known better." The teacher lowered himself onto a nearby stone. "Sit with me," he said. The traveler hesitated, then sank to the ground, exhaustion pulling at his shoulders. The plain stretched endlessly before them. Light moved across the land like a slow blessing. "Do you know why you feel lost?" the teacher asked. The traveler shook his head. "Because you are looking for certainty in a world that has never offered it." Buddhist wisdom reminds us that life does not give guarantees. It gives possibilities. Paths do not become clear before you walk them. They become clear because you walk them. The traveler stared at the horizon, his voice small. "But what if I choose wrong?" The teacher picked up a thin blade of grass and held it up to the sunlight. "Then your path will change. But nothing will be ruined. You are not fragile in the way you fear. Human lives are not broken by wrong choices, they are shaped by them. You transform your mind every time you allow yourself to learn instead of collapse." The traveler swallowed hard. "But I'm afraid of hurting others. Afraid of disappointing people. Afraid of being judged." The teacher nodded. "Those fears are understandable. But Buddhist reminders when you feel lost say this: you cannot control how others see you. You cannot live your life by their expectations. Protect your energy by honoring your own heart. Fear of judgment is a prison with the door wide open. You can leave any time, yet you remain because you fear stepping into uncertainty." The traveler's breath deepened as he took in the words. A long silence settled around them. The wind brushed gently across the plains. "Tell me," the teacher continued, "when you were a child, before the world taught you to doubt yourself, what did you dream of becoming?" The traveler hesitated, then whispered, "Someone who helped others. Not by telling them what to do, but by guiding them through their confusion. I always imagined myself listening, supporting, being steady for them." The teacher smiled. "And yet you deny yourself the very guidance you want to give others. You offer compassion outwardly, but none inwardly. How can you guide others if you refuse to guide yourself?" The traveler blinked, surprised. "I've never thought of it that way." The teacher leaned closer, his voice gentle. "The path you seek will not appear from thinking. It will appear from listening. Not to your fears, but to your sincerity. Your mind is loud with what-ifs, but your heart is quiet with wisdom. Let the quiet one speak." The traveler inhaled slowly, trying to reach the center of himself. But all he felt was noise, doubt, hesitation, uncertainty. "I don't hear anything," he whispered. "That is because you are trying too hard." Clarity comes when you stop demanding answers. The mind becomes calmer when you stop forcing it to choose. How to stay calm and positive begins with acceptance. You do not need to know everything right now. You only need to know your next small step. The traveler looked confused. "Just one step." "One step," the teacher confirmed. "The next breath, the next choice, the next moment of honesty." We suffer when we try to solve our entire life all at once. But Buddhist teachings remind us, you only ever live one moment at a time. The traveler lowered his gaze. "And if that one step is a mistake, then you will take another. And another." Mistakes are not failures. They are instructions. Each wrong turn brings you closer to understanding yourself. Each hesitation reveals a truth about your fears. Each uncertainty teaches you patience. The path is not a straight line, it is a living thing, shaped by your steps. The traveler exhaled deeply, his shoulders sinking. Something about the teacher's words made the world feel less rigid, less dangerous. Maybe life wasn't a test after all. Maybe it was something more fluid, more forgiving. The teacher stood and brushed dust from his robe. "Walk with me," he said. They walked slowly across the plain. The teacher stopped suddenly and pointed to the ground. There, faint but visible, was a narrow trail leading toward the horizon. "See this?" the teacher asked. The traveler nodded. This path was invisible from where you stood earlier. You could not see it because you were not walking. But as soon as you moved, even a few steps, it revealed itself. Life is exactly the same. The traveler stared at the path. The realization blossomed inside him like dawn breaking open. The teacher placed a hand on his shoulder. "You want to find peace in chaos, but you forget that peace is not the absence of uncertainty. Peace is walking even when you are uncertain. Peace is trusting that you can meet whatever arises. Peace is allowing yourself to move." The plain stretched before them, infinite and shimmering. The traveler took a breath and stepped forward. The earth beneath his feet felt solid for the first time in years, as if welcoming his weight, his intentions, his courage. The teacher watched with a soft smile. For in that single step, the traveler had begun to reclaim himself, not through certainty, but through willingness. And as they continued walking, the path widened gently, embracing their footsteps like an old friend who had been waiting patiently for the traveler to finally arrive. Part 6. The echo that teaches you to hear yourself. The path across the plain stretched onward for many miles, weaving itself between tall grasses that swayed like gentle waves under the touch of the wind. As morning grew into late afternoon, golden light deepened across the land, casting long shadows that moved softly in rhythm with the earth's breath. The traveler walked beside the teacher, his steps steadier than before, though faint traces of hesitation still lingered around him like fading mist. Every once in a while, he glanced toward the horizon, but the overwhelming uncertainty that once tightened his chest had loosened into something gentler, an open curiosity. The teacher continued with slow, deliberate strides, as if he moved effortlessly through both the world outside and the world within. He seemed to carry a stillness inside him that the landscape responded to, a quiet vibration that made even the wind tread lightly around him. As they traveled, they reached a valley where cliffs rose high on both sides, worn into ancient shapes by centuries of wind, rain, and shifting seasons. The valley was known as the place of echoes. It was said that each sound made within its walls returned with a clarity uncannily revealing, sometimes offering insight, sometimes exposing truths one tried to avoid. The traveler gazed upward, intrigued. "I've heard stories of this place," he murmured. "They say the valley sends back not only your voice but the truth behind it." The teacher smiled subtly. "Echoes reveal more than we expect. They teach us how to listen, not only to the world, but to the parts of ourselves we try to silence." The traveler hesitated at the entrance of the valley. "What if I don't want to hear those parts?" "Then they will speak louder in your silence," the teacher replied gently. "You cannot escape what calls from within." Buddhist teachings often remind us that ignoring the inner voice is the root of suffering. Listening is the beginning of liberation. The traveler took a deep breath and followed the teacher into the valley. The moment they stepped inside, the air shifted. Sounds became sharper. Even the subtle scrape of a sandal across stone felt amplified, as though the valley itself leaned closer to listen. The teacher stopped and turned toward the traveler. "Speak," he instructed softly. "Say something simple. Your name, perhaps." The traveler felt awkward but obeyed. "My name is Aaron." A few seconds passed, and then the valley whispered back, "Aaron," softly, gently, with an almost tender echo that carried a warmth the traveler had never heard in his own voice before. Aaron blinked. "That sounded calmer than how I said it." The teacher nodded. "This valley shows you not the voice shaped by fear, but the voice shaped by truth." Aaron swallowed hard. He felt something inside him stir, something fragile, like a bird fluttering its wings for the first time. The teacher motioned for him to speak again. "Tell the valley what you are afraid of." Aaron hesitated. His fingers twitched. His breath caught slightly in his chest. But finally, with trembling vulnerability, he whispered, "I'm afraid I don't know who I am." The valley held the silence for a moment, as if absorbing the weight of his confession. Then the echo returned, not fearful, not trembling, but steady, calm, profound. "I am who I am." Aaron gasped. The echo had transformed his fear into clarity. The teacher spoke softly. "Do you hear? The valley has revealed the truth behind your words. You are not lost. You are uncertain. It is different. Uncertainty is natural. Loss is a story the mind creates. To discover yourself, you must learn to listen beyond the noise." Aaron looked down, his eyes stinging. "I've been listening to fear for so long, I forgot what my real voice sounds like." The teacher nodded slowly. Buddhist wisdom teaches that the mind repeats the loudest voice, not the truest one. If fear grows loud, your heart grows quiet. But you can train yourself to hear the truth again. It begins with courage, the courage to listen. They continued deeper into the valley until they reached a circular clearing surrounded by towering stone walls. Here, the sound was most powerful. Even a breath returned with clarity. The teacher turned to Aaron. "Speak again, but this time, tell the valley what you truly want." Aaron felt his throat tighten. What he truly wanted? He barely knew. His life had been shaped by expectations, duties, and worries. He wasn't sure if his desires were his own or shaped by others. Still, he closed his eyes and breathed. Beneath all the noise, beneath all the fear, beneath all the self-doubt, a whisper stirred. "I want peace." The valley waited, then returned the word with softness that vibrated through his bones. "Peace, peace, peace." Aaron's shoulders quivered. The echo seemed not to repeat but to affirm, as if the valley itself acknowledged his longing. The teacher smiled. Peace is not something you chase. It is something you align with. But to align with peace, you must first acknowledge the parts of you that resist it. Aaron's brows tightened. What parts resist peace? The teacher walked to a stone ledge and sat quietly. The parts that fear change. The parts that hold on to old pain. The parts that believe you are unworthy. The parts that cling to control. Buddhist reminders when you feel lost tell us this: you cannot move toward peace unless you stop gripping the thoughts that undo you. Aaron sank down across from him. But how do I let go? By listening without reacting. Aaron frowned slightly, confused. The teacher continued. Most people think letting go means getting rid of something: anger, sadness, fear. But letting go means allowing these emotions to exist without feeding them. You observe them as echoes, signals, not identities. You do not silence them. You listen. And then you choose not to carry them forward. Aaron lowered his head. That sounds hard. The teacher responded gently, hardness is only the beginning. Every transformation begins as difficulty. But if you persist beyond difficulty, you discover ease. Aaron lifted his eyes. His heart felt open, curious, vulnerable. The teacher stood again and gestured to the stone walls. These walls have heard warriors shout their fury, wanderers cry for home, lovers declare devotion, and sages whisper riddles. But the valley reflects all of them with the same stillness. It judges nothing. It argues with nothing. It simply receives and returns. Aaron felt a sudden warmth move through his chest. Is that how I'm supposed to treat my thoughts? Exactly, the teacher replied. Treat them as echoes. Let them pass. Let them repeat without becoming them. Buddhist teachings say that awareness is the echo of the mind recognizing itself. Aaron stood slowly, feeling lighter, though he didn't yet know why. He turned toward the valley walls and spoke again, voice low but steady. I want to trust myself. A few seconds passed. Then the echo came back, not hesitant, not broken, but resonating with a strength that surprised him. Trust, trust, trust. Aaron's breath caught, his eyes widening. He lifted a shaking hand to his chest. It feels real when I hear it like that. The teacher walked to his side. This valley does not give you answers. It gives you yourself. It shows what your heart has been trying to say beneath the noise. When you learn to listen, truly listen, you discover the path hidden within your own longing. Aaron stood in silence, absorbing the feeling of hearing his inner truth echoed back at him. The valley seemed to hold him gently, like hands cupped around a flickering flame, protecting it from wind. Finally, the teacher spoke once more. When you leave this valley, your mind will return to its old habits. Fear will whisper again. Doubt will return. But now you will know how to hear yourself through them. You will remember that beneath the loudest voices lies a deeper one, steady, clear, unwavering. What does it say? Aaron asked softly. The teacher placed a hand over Aaron's heart. Listen. And in that vast, sacred silence, Aaron finally heard it, not from the valley, but from within. I am still becoming. The echo did not repeat, for it didn't need to. Aaron had heard himself at last. Part 7. The temple that appears only in stillness. When Aaron and the teacher finally left the valley of echoes behind them, the world seemed strangely softer. Even the sky appeared a shade gentler, as if touched by the quiet revelation Aaron had experienced. His steps no longer dragged with the heaviness of uncertainty. Instead, he walked as someone carrying a fragile understanding that life could shift, not by force, but by listening. And yet, the teacher knew that this was only the beginning of Aaron's unfolding. The echo had revealed his inner voice, but now he needed a sanctuary, a place where that voice could deepen into wisdom rather than fade beneath new waves of thought. Their journey brought them toward a remote forest, where massive trees stood like tall wooden pillars supporting the sky. Sunlight filtered through the canopy, scattering golden specks across the forest floor. The air was fresh, almost sweet, filled with the earthly scent of leaves, soil, and distant streams. Somewhere deeper inside these woods, hidden from wandering eyes, lay a temple that did not exist on any map and was spoken of only in hushed whispers among monks who understood the nature of inner truth. Aaron walked beside the teacher with growing curiosity. "Where are we going?" he asked quietly. "To a place that reveals itself only to those who have begun to hear themselves," the teacher replied. "A temple that answers not through teachings, but through silence." Aaron frowned slightly. How can a temple answer anything through silence? The teacher smiled softly. "In silence, you finally stop arguing with what is true." They walked deeper into the forest until the hum of the outside world faded completely. Even the birds seemed to lower their voices. Time itself softened, becoming something fluid and unhurried. Eventually, a shape began to emerge through the trees, an old stone structure covered in moss, humble yet dignified, as though built not by human hands but by the forest itself. Aaron stopped in awe. It looked ancient, weathered by seasons, yet whole. Not imposing, not grand, but quietly alive. "This," the teacher said, "is the temple of stillness." Aaron stepped forward cautiously, as though approaching a sleeping animal. The temple doors were carved with swirling patterns resembling the movement of water and wind, reminders of nature's effortless wisdom. The teacher led Aaron inside, and the moment they crossed the threshold, the air changed. It felt heavier yet gentler, as though the space held the weight of countless meditations. Inside, there was no altar, no statues, no incense. Only an empty hall illuminated by soft beams of sunlight filtering through cracks in the stone walls. It was a space stripped of distraction, as if inviting visitors to place their own selves at the center instead of any symbol. Aaron looked around, confused. "There's nothing here." "Exactly." The teacher sat down upon the smooth stone floor. "Sit with me." Aaron joined him, awkwardly at first, waiting for something to happen, some lesson, some instruction, some revelation. But the teacher simply breathed, slow and steady, as though the entire temple breathed with him. Minutes passed. Perhaps longer. Time felt different inside this place, expansive yet weightless. At first, Aaron's mind circled with thoughts. What am I supposed to do? Why aren't we talking? Should I be meditating? Is something wrong? Eventually, the teacher opened his eyes and spoke gently. "Tell me, Aaron, what do you feel in this silence?" Aaron hesitated. "I feel restless. Like I should be doing something." "Good," the teacher nodded. "That restlessness is your mind trying to escape itself. It is a sign that you have not yet learned how to stay with yourself without distraction." Buddhist teachings often remind us that true peace does not come when the world is quiet, but when the mind no longer fears its own company. Aaron lowered his gaze. "I don't know how to be alone with myself. It feels uncomfortable." The teacher's voice grew even softer. "And that discomfort is why you must stay. Stillness exposes the parts of you that have gone unheard. If you run from silence, you run from truth. How to stay calm and positive begins not with action, but with learning to sit in your own presence without turning away. Aaron inhaled slowly, trying to settle into the silence. But the moment he did, the noise in his mind grew louder. Memories of past failures. Worries about the future. Shifting emotions he couldn't name. His inner world was not a tranquil lake but a restless ocean. "I can't quiet my mind," he whispered. The teacher smiled. "You're not supposed to. Meditation is not about silencing thought. It is about observing it without judgment. When a thought arises, acknowledge it gently: worry, fear, memory, impatience. Then let it pass, like a cloud drifting across the sky." Aaron tried again. This time, instead of fighting the thoughts, he watched them. They surged. They whispered. They tugged at him. But slowly, something subtle changed. By naming his thoughts instead of wrestling them, he loosened their grip. The sensations in his chest softened. His breath deepened. After some time, the teacher spoke again. "Tell me, what do you notice now?" Aaron paused, surprised by what he felt. "The thoughts are still there, but they feel less powerful. It's like they're passing through instead of clinging to me." The teacher nodded with approval. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that thoughts are visitors, not residents. When you stop offering them a place to stay, they move on. In stillness, you learn which thoughts belong to your heart and which belong only to your fear. Aaron closed his eyes again. This time, the silence felt different. Not empty, but spacious, like a room finally cleared of clutter. He felt something subtle inside him, a gentle warmth, a flicker of clarity. "I feel myself," he whispered. The teacher's voice echoed softly within the quiet hall. "That is the purpose of this temple. To help you meet yourself without the noise of the world. Without the expectations of others. Without the weight of old stories." Buddhist reminders when you feel lost point you back here, to the place inside you that remains untouched by chaos. Aaron opened his eyes slowly. In the dim light of the temple, everything felt calm, unhurried, and honest. The stillness was no longer intimidating. It was comforting, like returning home after a long journey. The teacher rose gracefully. "Come." They walked toward the back of the hall, where a single open archway revealed a small courtyard bathed in sunlight. At its center was a shallow pool of water, not perfectly still, but gently rippling from a soft breeze. "This pool," the teacher said, "reflects differently depending on your state of mind. Look into it." Aaron leaned forward. At first, the reflection wavered and shifted uncontrollably, the ripples distorting his face into strange shapes. He frowned. The teacher rested a hand lightly on his shoulder. "Breathe." Aaron inhaled deeply, letting the breath expand inside him. Exhaled slowly, releasing tension. The ripples softened, becoming more subtle. His reflection grew clearer. More familiar. More real. "Your reflection follows your mind," the teacher whispered. "When your thoughts are turbulent, your life feels distorted. When your mind is steady, even if not silent, your path becomes clearer. To transform your mind, you must treat it with tenderness, not force." Aaron nodded slowly. "I understand, a little." "Understanding begins with a little," the teacher said. "Wisdom grows from seeds, not lightning." They stood together in quiet reverence, watching the water return again and again to stillness after each breath of wind. Aaron felt something settle inside him, something patient, grounded, peaceful. The teacher stepped back inside the temple briefly, then returned with a small lantern. It was old, simple, carved with faded symbols of stars and flowing rivers. He placed it gently into Aaron's hands. "This lantern is not for light," the teacher said. "It is a reminder. When your mind becomes dark or restless, remember the temple within you. The stillness you found here travels with you. It is your refuge wherever you go." Aaron clutched the lantern, feeling its quiet weight. "Thank you," he whispered. "You are not thanking me," the teacher replied softly. "You are thanking the part of yourself that is finally awakening." Outside, the forest rustled with wind. Somewhere in the distance, life continued, unrushed, untroubled, unfolding moment by moment. Aaron stepped forward, lantern in hand, ready to cross whatever landscape came next. He did not yet know what challenges awaited him. But he knew this: the temple within him existed now, irrevocably, unshakably. A sanctuary carved not from stone, but from stillness. And for the first time, the silence inside him felt like a friend. Part 8. The storm that teaches the sky to open. The forest surrounding the Temple of Stillness grew denser as Aaron and the teacher continued their journey. The lantern Aaron carried glowed faintly in the afternoon light, not with fire, but with a quiet presence that reminded him of the sanctuary he had discovered within himself. Though he had found a calmness he had never known before, he felt an uneasiness curling inside him, subtle, like a breeze that hints of an approaching storm. They followed a narrow path that twisted through ancient trees. Moss clung to every surface, draping the forest in shades of green that felt timeless. The air was cool, carrying the scent of wet leaves, and somewhere deeper, the low rumbling of thunder stirred. Aaron glanced above the treetops. The sky, once clear, now darkened with heavy clouds gathering in slow, powerful motion. He swallowed. "Is that storm coming this way?" The teacher nodded with serene acceptance. "All storms come our way eventually. They are not interruptions to life. They are part of life." Aaron frowned slightly. "I thought finding stillness would protect me from storms." The teacher smiled faintly. "Stillness does not prevent storms. It teaches you how to walk through them." Thunder rumbled again, closer now. Birds flew from the treetops, sensing the shift in the air. The wind picked up, rustling leaves in restless flurries. Aaron tightened his grip on the lantern. A mix of nerves and anticipation stirred inside him. They soon reached a clearing where the trees opened into a broad meadow. But instead of sunlit grass, the field was dim beneath the cover of churning clouds. The wind blew harder, bending the tall grass like waves on the sea. Aaron shivered. "Should we find shelter?" he asked. The teacher shook his head. "This storm is not outside you. It is inside you. And it is time you learned how to face it." Aaron's heart dropped. "What do you mean?" The teacher turned toward the meadow. "Do you feel it? The unease rising in you? The tightening in your chest? That is the storm of your mind. Buddhist teachings often explain that external storms awaken inner ones. When the world darkens, hidden fears surface. This is not a punishment. It is an invitation." Aaron inhaled, realizing that each gust of wind seemed to stir something old inside him, buried anxieties, forgotten memories, a familiar sense of dread he thought he had softened in the valley. "Why is it coming back?" he whispered. Because you are ready to meet what you once avoided. Lightning cracked in the distance, illuminating the meadow with a white flash. A low, trembling thunder rolled through the ground beneath their feet. Aaron flinched. His breath quivered. The sky felt heavy, pressing down on him. The teacher walked into the open field and motioned for Aaron to follow. Aaron hesitated, then took a step. Then another. Rain began to fall in scattered drops, growing heavier with each passing moment, until it became a curtain of water pouring from the sky. Aaron's clothes clung to his skin. His heartbeat rushed. The world around him blurred through the rain. Fear rose inside him, not with clarity, but like a shapeless creature awakening from the depths of his chest. The teacher stood tall, unmoving, letting the storm soak him. His voice rose calmly over the roaring rainfall. "Aaron, tell me what you feel." Aaron shook his head. I feel afraid. I feel overwhelmed. I feel like everything inside me is collapsing. I can't think. I can't breathe." The teacher stepped closer, rain cascading down his robes. "You are breathing. You are thinking. These feelings are not drowning you, they are appearing before you. Let them come. Let the storm rise." Aaron's breath shattered in his chest as lightning cracked again. The sky was now a wild, fierce ocean, and the meadow trembled beneath its force. Aaron felt his inner world unravel, every suppressed worry, every hidden regret, every unspoken insecurity rising to the surface. "I can't control it," he cried out through the rain. The teacher's eyes softened with compassion. "Why do you need to control it? Control is the cage that keeps fear alive. Let your emotions move. Let them crash. Let them roar. You are the sky, not the storm." Aaron's legs trembled. He dropped to his knees as the rain hammered down. Memories tumbled through him, moments when he failed, times he was judged, conversations where he felt small, expectations he could not fulfill, dreams he abandoned out of fear. They swirled through him faster than he could process. "I feel like I'm breaking," he shouted. The teacher knelt beside him. "You are not breaking. You are releasing." Buddhist wisdom says the mind sometimes must unravel so the heart can open. The storm does not destroy the sky, it cleanses it. Aaron felt a sob rise in his throat. His hands dug into the wet earth. "I'm scared." The teacher placed a hand over Aaron's back. "Fear is a guest, not your identity. Let it speak its truth." Aaron closed his eyes, letting the storm echo inside him. He listened, not to the thunder, not to the rain, but to the trembling voice within. "I'm afraid I won't be enough," he whispered. Then the valley of echoes returned to him, softly, as though carried on the wind. "Enough, enough, enough." The teacher leaned closer. "What else?" Aaron swallowed. "I'm afraid people will leave. I'm afraid to disappoint others. I'm afraid to trust myself. I'm afraid to choose the wrong path. I'm afraid of being alone. I'm afraid of failing. I'm afraid I'm weaker than I want to be." The words poured out of him like rain from ruptured clouds. And as the storm raged, he felt a release, a loosening of the knot inside him, as though each confession freed a small part of his heart. The teacher's voice cut through the rain with steady softness. "Aaron, the sky does not fear the storm. The storm is part of the sky. You have spent your life trying to avoid your own emotions, believing they made you weak. But Buddhist reminders when you feel lost tell us this truth: emotions rise to be witnessed, not to be suppressed. When you face them, they lose their power. Aaron trembled, breathing harder, but the breath came easier than before. The weight on his chest slowly lifted. The rain softened, as though responding to his release. The teacher stood and extended a hand. "Rise." Aaron took his hand and stood shakily. The storm continued, but he no longer felt swallowed by it. He felt present, grounded, aware. The rain struck his skin, but it didn't shake his spirit. The thunder echoed, but it didn't echo inside him the way it had moments ago. The teacher looked into his eyes. This storm was never meant to break you. It was meant to show you your strength. How to stay calm and positive is not learned under blue skies, it is learned here, in the downpour, when everything feels uncertain. Peace comes not by escaping storms, but by discovering the sky within you. Aaron breathed deeply. The air felt different, cleaner, lighter, honest. The storm, too, seemed to lighten. The thunder softened. The rain eased into a gentle patter. Aaron blinked toward the clouds. They began to open, slowly, revealing patches of soft light beyond. A single ray of sunlight pierced through, illuminating the meadow in a golden flicker. The storm had not passed, but Aaron had learned how to stand within it. And as he held the lantern close to his chest, he realized something profound. The lantern glowed brighter in the storm, not despite it. Because inner light is clearest when the sky is dark. Part 9. The Village That Forgets and Remembers. As the last echoes of thunder rolled gently into the distance, Aaron stood in the meadow with rain still dripping from his hair, his clothes clinging heavily to his skin. The storm clouds began to break apart, letting thin streams of sunlight reach through the openings like fingers searching for the earth. The air smelled of rain-soaked soil, rich, raw, and new. Aaron breathed it in slowly. The storm inside him had loosened its grip, leaving behind a stillness that felt earned rather than given. The teacher observed him with a soft, knowing expression before turning toward a narrow trail that stretched beyond the meadow into a quiet, rolling landscape. "Come," he said. "The storm has opened the next part of your path." Aaron followed, lantern in hand. Though the lantern held no flame, he felt its presence warming his palms, as though something alive pulsed within it, mirroring the faint courage now rising in his chest. They continued walking until the meadow's openness gave way to a wide valley dotted with wooden houses, gardens, and winding footpaths. Smoke drifted lazily from small chimneys. The sound of distant laughter mingled with the calls of animals. The valley welcomed them with the simple rhythm of ordinary life. "What is this place?" Aaron asked. "A village that forgets and remembers," the teacher replied. "People come here to live, to work, to age, to love, to lose. They forget themselves in their routines, in their fears, in their longings. And sometimes they remember again, briefly, clearly, before forgetting once more. It is a place that mirrors your own mind." Aaron felt a curious chill. "My mind?" "Yes. Your thoughts are like these people, forgetting what matters, remembering when something awakens them, then forgetting again. But wisdom grows when you learn to remember more often and forget less." The village was simple but alive. Children ran barefoot across the dirt road, chasing each other with sticks. A woman drew water from a well. An elderly man fed chickens scattered across a courtyard. The scene was peaceful, but beneath it lingered a subtle tension, as though every villager carried a quiet fear wrapped inside their day-to-day tasks. The teacher led Aaron to a small courtyard where a middle-aged man sat hunched over a wooden bench, carving a piece of driftwood. His brow was deeply furrowed, his hands shook slightly with every stroke. He seemed lost inside himself, unaware of his surroundings. This man, the teacher whispered, has forgotten his own strength. He lives haunted by a mistake he made long ago. Aaron watched him. Should we help him? The teacher shook his head. Help does not begin with intervention. It begins with understanding. Sit. They sat across from the man, who continued carving with uneven motions, occasionally stopping to curse under his breath. Aaron noticed the tension in the man's jaw, the way his shoulders hunched inward, protecting his chest as if guarding a wound. After a long silence, the teacher spoke gently. "What are you making?" The man flinched, startled by the presence of strangers. He glared at them suspiciously. "None of your concern." The teacher bowed his head respectfully. "Of course. But I wondered because your hands look tired, as though they have been carving for many years." The man's eyes flickered, then narrowed. "Even if they have, what of it?" The teacher's voice softened more. "Does the carving ease your mind, or does it deepen your burden?" The man's grip tightened around the wood. He opened his mouth to argue but stopped. His breath shuddered. He looked away. "What do you want?" he muttered. "To listen," the teacher replied. "Only that." Aaron said nothing, sensing that the man's pain waited beneath the surface, raw and trembling. Finally, the man spoke, voice rough with old sorrow. "I made a choice years ago, one that hurt someone I cared for. I've carried the guilt ever since. I try to forget, but I can't. I try to remember what I once was, but I can't do that either. So I carve. Every day, I carve. It keeps my hands busy so my mind won't drown me." Aaron felt his chest tighten. He understood that kind of drowning. The teacher looked at the man with deep compassion. "Guilt is a heavy thing to carry. But tell me, why do you carry it alone?" The man scoffed. "Who else should carry it? I made the mistake." "You made a mistake," the teacher said. "But you turned it into a sentence. Buddhist wisdom teaches that mistakes are lessons, not prisons. Yet you have imprisoned yourself for years." The man's eyes filled with pain. "What else am I supposed to do? I can't undo what I've done." "No," the teacher replied softly. "But you can stop punishing the person you were. That person acted from limited understanding, limited maturity, limited clarity. He is not who you are now. Would you condemn a child forever for a small act of ignorance?" The man's jaw trembled. "But it wasn't small." "Then learn from it," the teacher said. "Let the pain teach you compassion. Let it guide your choices now. But do not let it define you. To transform your mind, you must stop confusing accountability with self-cruelty. One heals. The other destroys." The man's breath hitched. A tear fell onto the wood in his hands. "I've forgotten how to forgive myself," he whispered. The teacher placed a gentle hand on the man's shoulder. "Then remember now. Forgiveness is not approval. It is release. And release is the first step toward becoming whole again." The man broke softly, letting tears spill onto his shaking hands. Aaron felt something inside him stir, a kind of recognition. He had carried his own forms of guilt and shame, though he rarely acknowledged them. Watching the man, he understood something new. Guilt was not a sign of responsibility. It was a sign of attachment to one's past self. After a while, the man wiped his face and looked at Aaron. "You're quiet," he said. "What brings you here?" Aaron hesitated, then spoke honestly. "I'm learning to hear myself." The man let out a breath that sounded almost like a laugh. "Then you're braver than most of us here." Aaron shook his head. "I'm not brave. I'm just tired of running." That, the teacher said gently, is often where courage begins. They watched as the man slowly placed his carving tools aside. His hands no longer trembled as violently. He looked around the courtyard as though seeing it for the first time in years. "Is the village always like this?" Aaron asked the teacher quietly. "Full of people stuck between forgetting and remembering?" The teacher nodded. "Yes. Just like the mind. Most thoughts drift like villagers carrying baskets. They move from task to task, forgetting the truth behind their actions. Sometimes they pause. Sometimes they awaken. But then they forget again." Aaron absorbed the words. "So how do you remember more often?" The teacher replied softly, "You learn to live consciously. To pause when your mind races. To breathe when fear rises. To question when judgment appears. To forgive when you cling to pain. Buddhist reminders when you feel lost guide you back to presence, not perfection." Aaron nodded slowly. His heart felt full yet unsettled, as though several truths were awakening inside him at once. The teacher stood, and Aaron followed. They walked through the village, passing homes where families laughed, argued, cooked, worked, worried, and loved. Life in all its forms, beautiful and flawed, unfolded around them. Some people looked alive with joy. Others carried invisible burdens. Some moved gracefully, others stumbled. Yet all of them shared the same truth: they were human, stumbling through the forgetfulness and remembering of existence. Aaron realized then that the village was not merely a place, it was a mirror. Each face reflected a different part of his own mind: the anxious child, the fearful adult, the hopeful dreamer, the one who clung, the one who let go. When they reached the edge of the village, Aaron paused. "What am I supposed to learn here?" The teacher looked at him with eyes filled with ancient patience. "That forgetting is natural. Remembering is a practice. And wisdom is choosing, again and again, to return to yourself." A breeze moved gently through the valley. Aaron lifted the lantern and felt it glow faintly in his hands. The teacher continued walking. And Aaron followed, carrying both his forgetfulness and his growing remembrance with him, each step revealing a part of himself he had not seen before. Part 10. The bridge between who you were and who you're becoming. Beyond the village that forgets and remembers, the landscape shifted once more. The earth rose in gentle swells, stretching into hills covered with silver grass that shimmered beneath the late afternoon sun. Aaron walked beside the teacher in a contemplative silence, the kind that carried weight yet felt strangely soothing. The lantern in his hand warmed him with its quiet presence, as though reminding him with every step that the temple within him still existed, even far from its stone walls. In this 10th chapter of their long journey, the teacher knew a profound truth awaited, one that every seeker eventually encountered on the path. It was a lesson not taught by temples, valleys, storms, or villages, but by life itself. A threshold every soul must cross alone. As they climbed a gentle rise, Aaron noticed something shimmering in the distance. A structure, suspended above a deep ravine carved by centuries of wind and water. It was a bridge, long, narrow, and made of ancient wood bound together by thick ropes. It swayed softly in the wind, creaking like an old memory. Aaron paused. His breath hitched. That bridge. I don't trust it. The teacher nodded, watching the wind ripple through the ropes. You're not meant to trust the bridge. You're meant to trust the one who walks across it. Aaron felt a pulse of unease in his chest. The ravine was wide and deep, its rocky sides jagged and unforgiving. The drop was impossible to see fully, shadows swallowed its depths. A cold shiver crawled up Aaron's spine. What is this place? He asked quietly. The teacher answered gently. This is the passage between who you were and who you are becoming. Every person on the path of understanding must cross it. Not because the other side holds answers, but because crossing changes the seeker. Aaron looked again at the bridge. It swayed more aggressively now, as though beckoning him and warning him at the same time. I don't think I can do this, he whispered. The teacher's response was soft, yet unyielding. Fear always says that at the threshold of transformation. Aaron swallowed. His palms grew damp against the lantern's handle. Buddhist teachings tell us to release fear, he told himself, but his body did not listen. His legs trembled. He stepped back. What if I fall? Then you fall, the teacher said simply. Falling is not failure. Sometimes it teaches you what standing never could. Aaron's breath shook. The ravine yawned before him like the jaws of something ancient, ready to devour mistakes, doubts, and missteps. He wanted to look away, but something in the vastness held him still. The teacher spoke again, voice steady as stone. Remember the storm, Aaron. You did not conquer it. You stood within it. The bridge is not a test of strength. It is a test of presence. If you walk with fear, the bridge will shake. If you walk with awareness, your steps will steady. Aaron closed his eyes, recalling the downpour, the thunder, the release that came from facing what he had long avoided. He felt the lantern warming against his heart, a gentle reminder of the sanctuary within him. He took a breath. Then another. He stepped toward the bridge. The wood groaned under his weight, flexing with each small movement. Aaron froze as the wind swept across the ravine, making the ropes sway. His heart raced, pounding against his ribs like a drum calling for retreat. I can't do this, he whispered. The teacher remained on solid ground behind him. I know. But you must walk anyway. Aaron gripped the ropes tightly. The bridge shifted beneath his feet, the wood creaking with every heartbeat. He took one slow step. The lantern's soft warmth pressed against his chest, anchoring him. He dared another step. The ravine wind roared up from below, cold and sharp. Aaron's mind exploded with fear. What if I fall? What if the wood breaks? What if I freeze halfway? Fear rushed through him like a storm, but he remembered the teacher's words. You are the sky, not the storm. Aaron inhaled deeply, allowing the fear to exist without letting it control him. Another step. The bridge swayed, but he stayed upright. Another step. His breath steadied. Behind him, the teacher called out softly, Aaron, tell me what you feel. Aaron's voice trembled. I feel terror. And a strange strength beneath it. And something else. What? Aaron's throat tightened. Hope. The teacher smiled gently. Good. Fear and hope often walk together. One shows you the danger. The other shows you the possibility. Protect your energy by choosing which one you follow. Aaron continued forward, step by step. Each movement deliberate, each breath conscious. The ravine below seemed less threatening now, still deep, still dark, still real, but no longer a monster. Just part of the landscape. Just another piece of life. He looked ahead. The other side of the bridge waited calmly, solid, unmoving. It felt impossibly distant a moment ago, but now, within reach. He took another step. And another. And then, suddenly, the bridge steadied under him. He paused, surprised. The ropes no longer shook uncontrollably. The wood felt firm. The wind softened around him. "Why is it steady now?" he asked. "Because you are steady," the teacher replied. "The world responds to your inner state. When your mind trembles, life feels unstable. When your mind steadies, the path becomes clear." This is one of the oldest truths in Buddhist wisdom. Aaron's breath flowed freely. He took the final steps forward until his feet touched solid ground on the other side. His legs nearly gave out beneath him, not from fear, but from relief. He turned to see the teacher still standing at the start of the bridge. "Aren't you coming?" The teacher shook his head. "I've already crossed this bridge long ago, many times. This one was yours." Aaron's eyes softened. He felt something swelling inside his chest, gratitude, reverence, and the sense that he had gained something immeasurable. Crossing the bridge had not made him fearless. It had made him familiar with fear. And that, he realized, was far more powerful. The teacher walked around the ravine, taking the long, winding footpath that connected both sides. When he reached Aaron, he placed a gentle hand on Aaron's shoulder. "How do you feel now?" Aaron breathed deeply. "Like, something inside me has shifted. Like I'm still afraid, but the fear feels smaller. And I feel bigger." The teacher nodded. Buddhist reminders when you feel lost often tell you to return to your breath. But there are moments when you must also return to your courage. And today, Aaron, you did both. Aaron looked back at the bridge. It swung lightly in the wind, but no longer felt like a threat. It felt like a teacher, one that taught through trembling wood instead of words. The teacher smiled, seeing the understanding blooming in Aaron's eyes. "You crossed not to become someone new, but to meet the version of yourself waiting on the other side." Aaron felt a surge of emotion at the truth of it. He lifted the lantern closer to his heart. Its glow pulsed softly, mirroring his breath. The teacher took a step forward, ready to continue the path. "Come, Aaron. The bridge was only the beginning. The path ahead will ask for even deeper truths." Aaron followed, his steps steadier than ever, not because the path was smooth, but because his inner landscape had begun to open. And as they walked further, the sky above them slowly brightened, as though honoring the courage of one who dared to cross the fragile distance between who he had been and who he was becoming. Part 11. The fire that knows your true name. Dusk settled gently across the land as Aaron and the teacher moved farther from the ravine. The sky carried the last traces of sunlight, soft streaks of rose and amber lingering along the horizon, fading slowly into night. Somewhere in the distance, a river murmured beneath the chorus of crickets, and the wind drifted like a long, tired breath across the open field. Aaron felt different now, not stronger in the way warriors feel strong, but steadier, like someone who had finally accepted that fear could exist without defining him. As twilight deepened, the teacher led him toward a small circle of stones arranged in the middle of a clearing. At their center lay dry branches, gathered in a purposeful shape. The place felt sacred somehow, though Aaron didn't know why. "What is this?" he asked softly. "A fire circle," the teacher replied. "For generations, seekers came here when they were ready to meet a deeper truth, the truth that does not hide in storms or echoes or stillness, but burns at the very core of one's being." Aaron felt a tremor of anticipation. "Are we lighting it?" "Not we," the teacher said. "You." Aaron's breath caught. "Me? Why?" "Because fire reveals what concealment cannot. Buddhist teachings say the mind learns from silence, the heart learns from storms, but the spirit learns from fire. Tonight, the fire will show you the place where your true name lives." Aaron looked at the unlit wood. He wasn't sure what the teacher meant, but he felt the gravity of the moment settle upon him. Kneeling, he placed the lantern beside the stones. Its gentle glow brushed over the branches, turning them gold. The teacher stepped behind him. "Before you light the fire, you must understand what it represents." Aaron listened, heart quiet, breath slow. The teacher's voice flowed like water, patient and deep. "Fire is transformation. It burns what no longer serves, reveals what has always been true, and forges what must be made new. It is the bridge between destruction and creation. To meet your true self, Aaron, you must be willing to let the false parts of you burn." Aaron felt a chill move down his spine. "What false parts?" The teacher answered softly. "The parts built from fear. The parts shaped by guilt. The parts born of others' expectations. The parts you cling to because you believe they protect you, when in truth they only confine you." Aaron lowered his gaze. "I'm afraid, if I let go of those parts, I won't know who I am." The teacher smiled with the gentlest compassion. "That is the point. You cannot become who you are meant to be while holding tightly to who you no longer are." Aaron closed his eyes, letting the words sink deep. Something inside him, old pain, old identity, old stories, shivered. When he opened his eyes, the lantern's glow reflected in his pupils like two small flames waiting for ignition. The teacher gestured to the wood. "Light the fire." Aaron lifted the lantern slowly, feeling its subtle warmth pulse through him. When he touched its glow to the dry branches, the fire did not erupt quickly. It bloomed softly, almost gracefully, as though waking from a long sleep. Flames curled upward in gentle ribbons at first, then grew stronger, brighter, warmer, until the entire circle blazed with golden light. Aaron sat before the fire with awe. He had seen flames many times before, but never like this. It felt alive, not merely burning, but speaking in a language beyond words. The teacher sat beside him. "Now, Aaron, tell the fire something you fear to admit." Aaron's breath trembled. "Tell the fire?" "Yes. The fire listens differently than the valley. The valley echoes. The fire reveals." Aaron stared into the flames until they blurred. Finally, he whispered, "I'm afraid I am not worthy of peace." The fire cracked suddenly, sending a spark upward, bright, fierce, undeniable. Aaron flinched. The teacher nodded. "The fire responds to truth." "Speak again." Aaron swallowed. "I'm afraid people know who I used to be, and they will never accept who I want to become." The flames shifted, burning higher for a moment before settling into a calmer rhythm. Aaron continued, voice breaking. "I'm afraid there is something wrong with me, that no matter how hard I try, I will always fall short." The fire softened. The heat wrapped around him not as a punishment, but as a kind of embrace, warm and deep. Aaron felt tears rise. He blinked hard, but they fell anyway. The teacher placed one hand gently on Aaron's back. The fire hears you. But now listen to it. Aaron stared closer, letting the flames fill his vision. Slowly, something began to happen, not visually, not externally, but somewhere deep in the inner chamber of his being. It was as though the fire illuminated a space inside him he had never dared to enter. The teacher whispered, "What do you see?" Aaron leaned forward, breath trembling. "I see shadows." "Whose shadows?" "Mine," Aaron whispered. "Parts of me I've avoided for so long. Parts that made me ashamed. Parts one hated. Parts one thought would disappear if I ignored them long enough." The teacher nodded. "And now?" Aaron let out a shaky breath. "And now? I see they're only shadows. They're not as large as I thought. The fire makes them smaller. Because you are facing them," the teacher said. "Everything grows larger in darkness. But when you shine light upon it, it loses its power." Aaron wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. The fire continued crackling, its warmth steady, unwavering. The teacher's voice lowered to a soft, almost reverent tone. "Aaron, in the deepest Buddhist wisdom, there is a teaching: the self you fear is not your true self. Your true self is the awareness watching the fear. Fear is smoke. You are the fire." Aaron's breath hitched. "Smoke, fire." The teacher leaned closer. "Your true name is not the one fear calls you. It is the one your awareness recognizes. Fear says you are weak. Awareness says you are growing. Fear says you are unworthy. Awareness says you are becoming. Fear says you are broken. Awareness says you are opening." Aaron felt tears spill again, but they were different this time, warmer, more honest, less desperate. He whispered, "Then who am I?" The teacher spoke like someone unveiling ancient truth. "You are the space in which transformation happens. You are the fire that burns away falsehood. You are the stillness that remains after storms. You are the path that emerges with each step. You are the awareness beneath every thought, every breath, every heartbeat." Aaron stared into the fire, and for the first time in his life, something shifted so deeply within him that it felt like the earth itself moved. A voice, soft, unforced, unmistakably his, rose from within. "I am not what I feared I was." The teacher smiled. "Then say it again." Aaron exhaled shakily. "I am not what I feared I was." "Say more." Aaron placed a hand on his chest. "I am not my past. I am not my mistakes. I am not the voices of doubt. I am not the parts of me shaped by others' expectations." The fire flared brighter with each declaration. The teacher whispered, "And now, tell the fire your true name." Aaron shuddered. His throat tightened. Something ancient stirred inside him, rising from the silence beneath storms, echoes, temples, and villages. A truth waiting for his voice. Finally, with a breath that felt like rebirth, he spoke. "I am becoming." The fire responded like a living being, rising in a brilliant surge of gold, then settling into a steady, unwavering glow. Aaron felt something release within him, not violently, but gently, like a rope untying after years of tension. The teacher placed a hand on Aaron's shoulder, his voice filled with both pride and reverence. "You have crossed the bridge, Aaron. Now you have met the fire. The path ahead is not easier, but you are no longer walking as the one you once were. Aaron felt peaceful, not because the fire removed his fear, but because it revealed the part of him that could walk with fear and remain whole. He sat quietly as the flames danced, knowing that something profound had awakened inside him, not an answer, not a conclusion, but a beginning. A new chapter of himself. A new way of being. A new truth he could carry into whatever awaited him next. He breathed deeply, letting the fire's warmth fill him. He was becoming. And now, he knew it.